Hello and welcome to the Student CPD session on metacognition. We're going to be looking at the way that your brain functions and how you learn as a way to help you with your studies and hopefully improve your learning journey in A-levels. To start off with, understanding of metacognition is the awareness and understanding of one's own thought processes. Similar to knowing the mark scheme and your assessment objectives, understanding how you learn is vital to being successful at it. There are a variety of principles that are useful to you in terms of understanding the way that we learn and the way that we engage with the material in front of us. I'm going to be taking two of these at a time, explaining how they're significant to you and how you can make them relevant for your studies. The first two we're going to be having a look at are elaboration and retrieval practice. Elaboration, unsurprisingly, is looking at the way you explain something and describe it with as many details as you possibly can. They often say that 80% of what you teach you will remember. So imagine that with elaboration strategy, you are taking a key formula, principle, or theory and you're explaining it. You're giving it as much information as you possibly can. This is often done in revision cards, so where you've put that key theory, principle, or formula on the front and the extra information on the back. You test yourself by looking at the first image and then seeing how much of the material on the back you can remember because you've elaborated on it. Which brings us to the point of the retrieval practice. Being able to regurgitate the information that you have formulated or kept in your brain is what's looking at. And the more often you practice it, the more useful it becomes. Now, what's really interesting about this is changing the places that you do this retrieval practice. There have been a number of studies in a book I'm going to refer to at the end of today's lecture that explores the ways in which where you have learned the information is often where it's easier to recall it, where you bring it back. Now, the problem with this is that none of you learn in the exam hall. You will all learn in classrooms. And so the best thing you can do is vary the places and times of day, the situations you are in, where you recall or retrieve information that you have learned in a classroom. Two more. The first one is concrete examples. Now, this forms naturally within law and sociology. You are often given case studies to be able to illustrate an abstract idea. These can become even more concrete for you. I often like the idea, and again, this is alluded to in the book I'm going to refer to at the end, where you take the case in principle, in law, for example, and you almost model it out. So you give yourself imagine it's a car crash. You get a small car and Play-Doh people and whatever, and you recreate this scene. Kind of kinesthetic learning, although we don't engage with audio, visual, and kinesthetic anymore, if you can give a concrete example to an abstract idea, it becomes more real to you. Another one for us to look at today is spaced practice. Now, again, studies have been done in the timeline that you should be able to use different revision strategies. And there's always this golden idea around 3. So something that you learn today, in 3 weeks' time, you practice it again. And thinking about how you can interrupt your learning and your concept development as this spaced practice. You don't spend all your time learning one specific topic and then finish with it, but rather keep coming back to it. The last two kind of again build on these things that I've just been mentioning to you. Interleaving looks at the ways that ideas whilst you study can be mixed together. There's often the temptation, and even as a teacher in sociology, students of mine will study beliefs in society on one day and crime and deviance on another day. Because it fits neatly, doesn't it? It means you only have to bring those textbooks in. But actually, it's really useful if you mix different topics because your brain is used to taking on a variety of information at a whole host of different occasions. Think about your senses, what you can smell, taste, hear, touch, is all being processed at the same time. So your brain is capable of taking on multiple sources of information all at once. There's no expectation in life that you are going to only ever do one task at one time for one specific period. So consider how you could embed that. The last one is the dual coding, and it's the combination of words and visuals to aid your learning. I remember vividly being a very young teacher and one of the very first students that I tried to discipline, and I say tried because actually I was wrong, was where this particular student did all of their notes in doodle form. At the time, I was inexperienced and I didn't understand that what they were doing had absolute immense value. Offering these visual elements to something helps build another way in which you can engage with different concepts and ideas. So just another concept that you can add to your arsenal of tools to support you in your revision. So the book I've been mentioning as we've been going through today is available on Amazon, and it's by Benedict Carey, called How We Learn. And it is full of ideas and concepts and different elements that you can explore. Your task, as with all of these videos, when we finish these videos, I always bring it back to something I want you to go ahead and do. And today it's to take one of those 6 elements from today's lesson, and I want you to see how you could make that fit within your study during summer, your revision schedule ready for second year, or maybe even in one of your own hobbies. Could you maybe limit the amount of time that you do something, or practice in a new place? If you imagine, if you play an instrument, obviously you wouldn't be able to pick a piano up and move it to a different room, but could you look at sight notes and start to engage with those in a different area and really start to push yourself? Be very reflective, evaluate how it would work. But that's your challenge for this task. I want you to think about one of them, embed it practically into your study plan, and just journal the impact that it's having on you. I really look forward to seeing how these come together.